seconds
Hello,
remaining.
everybody, and welcome back to Game 2 of CDEC versus LGD
remaining.
in the OGA DOTA pit. BCOP is having some internet issues
Radiant
at the
team
moment.
ban.
He's trying to restart his router and things.
PSG,
So hopefully he'll be able to come back
LGD's
in for the
turn
game.
to ban.
Because otherwise you're stuck with me doing play-by-play and analysis, and hearing me talk to myself sounds like everybody's worst nightmare.
Radiant
I'm sure
team
everybody in
ban.
Twitch chat would agree there. So we shall go through the draft as just me for now, which is fine. So last game, CDEC versus LGD. LGD obviously had this really good start with the Tiny, who was absolutely dominating the lane. Like, this guy was, Somnus on this Tiny looked so
10
good.
seconds
But unfortunately, as the game went on, LGD kind of missed their fighting timings a little
5
bit.
seconds
Old
remaining.
11 not really having this effectiveness on the Batrider that he was hoping for. But they did first face this Batrider on LGD. So you have to remember that they were willing to accept that it might have been a bad Batrider game at some point. But into the draft for this game. What do we have for bans? We've got the Phoenix normal, Quops normal, a really early Puck ban. CDEC do like this hero, and a really early Viper ban as well. Interesting. But it does mean that some of these heroes have been let through now, like the Vengeful Spirit. Obviously, I think, has it been picked to ban almost every single game? It gets instantly snapped up by LGD. We saw this by Vici yesterday as well. CDEC, they respond with the Mars, a little bit of team fight for themselves. Another really popular hero from this tournament so far. The question is, how do LGD want to build around this Venge? And the reason this hero is so popular at the moment is it has a save, right? Which is always going to be good. But you can take your draft in so many different directions with the Venge. Like we saw the DOTA pick yesterday from Vici Gaming. Didn't end up working out for them, but that's just one avenue that you can go down with the Venge. They picked the Mirana as well. I personally am not the biggest fan of this hero. Like, it's okay. I don't think it's ever awful. Like, Arrow's always going to be like a useful stun, right? It has good burst damage as well. Like, the maneuverability is always nice. But I personally, I don't value this hero as much as the Chinese team seem to do. And they go back for the Rubik again on CDEC. Obviously, James loves playing this hero.
5 seconds remaining.
He is very, very good at it. And so it's not surprising to see them value it so highly. So that's 2 games in a row for him on the Rubik. He'll be happy with that one. Nice strong laning partner as well for the Mars with the Rubik. They have a lot of burst damage between them, a lot of kill potential. You can, get the lift, follow it up with the spear. Lots of lockdown. But we have to remember that this Mars is like, it's okay. Remaining. Like in these early stages of the game, it's a solid hero, but they have the swap for the arena as well. So if anybody ever gets stuck in a tough position in the middle of that arena, the Vengeful can always bail them out. It's kind of a bit difficult with level 1 swap because the cast range is quite low, but when you hit that level 12 on the Venge, it becomes a lot easier.
10 seconds remaining.
This Mirana, though, I wonder what they put on a pair with it. We've been seeing like a lot of we've been seeing Mars, we saw Tiny. I think it was from eHome yesterday. They paired it with the Mirana. A lot of these heroes that have like burst damage potential between the two of them. So it'll be interesting to see what LGD decide to go for as their position 3. I mean, it could be Venge, but I assume this is going to be X-Nova's hero. Coming into the second phase bans then, so they take out the Batrider. I mean, Old 11 was very good with that hero last game. It didn't really have the impact you'd have hoped, but picking the Batrider later on in the draft is always going to mean it has more game impact because it's usually a much better game for it. I'd be very surprised if they didn't start banning out cores that worked well with the Venge, but were also good against the Mars. So, historically, maybe not so much at the moment, but Jug is, what you just spin out of the arena. Slark as well can sometimes be annoying. We saw that second phase ban last game.
Turn to ban.
Oh, they take out the... Okay, Beastmaster's a good ban as well. They're thinking more about the Venge, stacking up these auras, getting the physical damage going. That makes perfect sense as well. I think it's a bit more difficult for LGD to ban here. Like, there might be some cores they feel like
10 seconds remaining.
Difficult for them to play against, but CDEC could go any direction with their cores still, right? They're very open. And so they just focus on banning the 5s instead. Fair enough. This tree was one we saw a lot of yesterday, actually. And we talked about it at lengths, really. Me and BCOP who still seems to have passed into the void, unfortunately.
10
Yeah, this
seconds
trio of
remaining.
protectors, it did absolute work yesterday. CDEC actually were one of the
5
teams that ended up
seconds
playing it, and
remaining.
they didn't end up winning. I can't remember if they won the game they played it, but
Radiant team
you know, that
pick.
living armor is so difficult to deal with. And they actually ban out the DOTA on CDEC. Wow, really respecting that Venge-DOTA combo. That's surprising to me. Because, you know, just because you pick Venge, it doesn't mean you have to pick DOTA, right? But they decide that that's something they really don't want to be dealing with.
10 seconds remaining.
So you would
5
assume that they
seconds
probably want to pick
remaining.
their 5 here on CDEC now. I mean, Clock's still in the pool if they want to go for it, but against Venge Morana sounds pretty awful. Like, Tusk is there as well, potentially. It's something CDEC have liked in the past, but I don't know if they've played a position 5 before.
Ember Spirit.
Oh, and they go okay. They go for the flexible core, which is fair enough. They go for the Ember. I mean, a hero that we've been talking about a lot recently as well. I mean, Nothing to Say had some insane performances on this hero
10 seconds
yesterday.
remaining.
If you guys didn't watch the eHomes games yesterday, you should definitely go back and watch them. You know,
5
2-0 against
seconds
LGD, 2-0
remaining.
against Vici. They were insanely good. Nothing to Say, Ember, his favourite hero. I wonder if they pick something here on LGD that like pairs with the Morana well in the laning stage. Like some kind of setup stun, potentially. Like, DK's still in the pool, and at all stages in the game, the DK's going to be decent against the Ember, right? Because you have the solid lockdown available. They could go for a different route. If they feel like there's a core that works really well with the Venge,
Radiant
or
team
does well
pick.
against the Ember Spirit.
Elder Titan.
Wow. Now, this is interesting. So does this push the Venge to a core role, I assume? Because historically, I mean, this Elder Titan is something that X Nova has played almost like every time for LGD. It could mean that the Morana's a core as well, when they're playing like Venge 5, Elder Titan 4. It keeps their draft really open. But they could play Morana 3, Elder Titan 4 as well. Sounds like a decent thing. Like, you get the Stomp, you can follow up with the Arrow. But again, like they see this like really immobile hero, like they did with the Shaker last time in the Elder Titan, and they instantly pick up the Clockwork. Like, again, we talked about it against Vengeful Spirit and Morana. It's not amazing, but against this Elder Titan, like, it's not great in the laning stage for the Clockwork. But at least at all points in this game, you have this really high reach spell in the hook shot, and it allows you to get on top of this Elder Titan and bring him down quickly first. Because that what's the passive called on the Elder Titan? I can't remember for the life of me. Let me have a quick look. It's Natural Order. Yeah, Natural Order. It's so useful in team fights, right? Like, this Natural Order it makes like all these really high agi heroes, for example, just absolutely melt. And they go for the Morphling. I mean, not too much of a surprise, I don't think. This Morphling pick being so popular across all the Chinese teams at the moment, and I think against Ember Spirit is when it tends to definitely see more pick potential.
10 seconds
And you can
remaining.
get instantly turn into the Ember and get the free slight chains for yourself. Always nice.
5 seconds
I will say, though,
remaining.
it's not a free Morphling game. Like, you have a natural vessel builder in the Ember if he really wants to go for it. You have the hook shot into the cogs. There's an instant lift as well, which can be difficult to deal with.
Radiant team
Because
back.
even if the Morphling builds a Lincolns, you know, Rubik can pop that with the spell still before he uses the lift. But in the laning stage, if they play the Morph safe lane, for example, as well, it's really difficult for Mars and Rubik to bully that lane. Like, they can throw spells at him and try and push him out, but they can never really kill him unless they
10
hit him with like a
seconds
random
remaining.
spear onto a tree, you know, follow up with the lift.
5
I don't really
seconds
see that
remaining.
happening, though.
PSG LGD's turn to ban.
So coming into the last picks, though, I mean, CDEC probably, you know, they need an Arme hero still, you would assume. I mean,
10
he probably
seconds
could play
remaining.
Ember, but I think it's more likely to be an XM hero in that mid lane.
5 seconds
So they're probably
remaining.
looking to ban out heroes here on LGD that, you know, do carry going well into the late game. Naga's going to be one. And Spectre's still in the pool. Arme's liked that, but don't know how much I like it up against the Morphling. Terrorblade's still in the pool as a potential, but really bad against Elder Titan and
Radiant
Morphling
team
as
back.
well. So yeah, so they take out the PL instead. I mean, anti-mage is still in the pool if CDEC want to go for that instead, but it feels a little bit greedy, potentially. They could go for some like really high-tempo mid-hero last.
LGD's turn to pick.
They ban out the like it. Okay, so LGD here, I mean, I talked about it last series. Kunkka's still in the pool as well. I think it's a potential for LGD here. I'm trying to think of other summoners heroes that could, you know, potentially control the tempo.
10 seconds remaining.
Kunkka, I mean, DK's still in the pool as well. You know, it's not an awful hero. They could play the Mirana mid here as well and pick a different 3. I don't know how Mirana does against Ember in lane. I guess it's not too bad because you can take the Flame Guard off at level 1 at least with the Starfall.
Radiant team pick.
What do they want to go for
Drow
here?
Ranger.
Wow. Okay. So this is like really high risk, high reward by LGD, right? This Drow Ranger.
Choose your hero.
And it's like, okay, it buffs up the Morphling, which is really nice. It buffs up the Mirana, which is really nice, which I assume is now going to be the position 3. Oh, no, okay, so they're playing the Venge position 3. Okay, so they are still kind of like aura stacking. The Drow buffs up the Venge in lane as well, buffs up Somnus. And so they're going to put the Elder Titan with the Morphling in the safe lane, but the Mirana with the Venge. It's pretty nice. And so CDEC respond with the Spectre. And, you know, we said it before, it's not a great Spectre game, it's a little bit slow, but I think as soon as you see that Drow picked up by LGD, you know, the Spectre just goes up in value straight away. Having that hero that can pop the horn, instantly get on top of this Drow, which you really need to try and bring down first when this fight starts. I'm personally really interested to see what item build Old 11 goes for on the position 3 Venge. I think there's a few different things you can go for. Like this new Helm of Dom, it could be really popular. Like you get the swap, you pick up a Centaur creep, you instantly swap them into the Centaur Stomp. You know, you follow up with your own stun. There's such high kill potential there. You know, you could take over the Alpha Wolf to, you know, stack up with the rest of the auras you have on your team. I am worried that this CDEC lineup looks a little bit slow. And SRF, he has the new Mars set, guys. This is it. We get to see the new Mars set in debut here in action. Beacop is still experiencing internet issues, unfortunately. He's trying to sort things out still. He's on the phone, I believe, to his provider. So for now, as I'm sure you were all so excited for, you were waiting with bated breath, I know. We are going to have the Mo Farah play-by-play, which is very exciting. So I'm going to cast off of the Observer here.
Prepare for battle.
No one surprised by this is you.
So we do have SRF and James heading up towards this top lane. Getting a nice, really early ring of protection on the Mars. Always going to be good up against this, like, up against the Morphling in the laning stage with this high physical damage. You can build up into that Vlad's if you want to on the Mars as well. I assume he will. James with the early boots as well. Pretty common on the Rubik. We've got the Clockwork here from... pretty sure it's Victoria, right? I can't remember for the life of me now. But yeah, XM on the mid lane on his Ember. I mean, top MMR in China. I'm expecting big things from this guy this game. I feel like he needs to perform well here this game for CDEC to have a chance of winning. Like he's going to be controlling a lot of the tempo that the CDEC want to be playing down. LGD though, we have Old 11 on the Venge with FY on the Mirana. Nice little arrow setup in the Venge stun. Always nice. Actually starts with a really early Wraith Band. Not what I expected. I thought he might go a little bit more kind of like regen focused. But they've put 2 heroes up here on the Dire side. So maybe they feel like they can contest the rune early on. You know, normally we see heroes kind of like trade 2 for 2 on the bounty runes by playing the same side of the map together, but looks like it will still be that 2 for 2. The Clockwork manages to snag one on the other side of the river, sealing it away from the Mirana and the Venge. So we have this mid lane matchup between XM and Somnus on the Morphling. I mean, this matchup is, I'm pretty sure it's like heavily, not heavily, but like Morphling favoured, right? Like you have much better base damage to work with. Ember should be able to farm though. Somnus is probably going to take a point in that Adaptive Strike at level 2 to try and take off this Flame Guard. But for now, you know, XM's going to try to push the lane out as much as he can, just to farm this lane before the Morphling gets levels online. Because this lane gets a lot more difficult for the Ember, right, as time goes on. When Morphling has more agi shift to work with, it's really difficult to kill him off. And I do wonder whether he goes for that Vessel first. Arrowing from FY. Onto the creeps just to push the lane in. This is really difficult for the Spectre to deal with because... Oh, X-Nova, hang on. Going down in the top lane. Can they finish him off here? I don't know if they have any spells left. Yeah, James manages to get the Fade Bot in right at the last second. I think he just did about enough damage there. And that's first blood for them against X-Nova. You know, this high burst damage potential lane going really well for them. Victoria manages to kill the Vengeance Courier as well. Always nice.
Nope.
This mid lane as well, XM having to pop a really early salve. Someone's actually not using too much of his own regen here already, so this lane not amazing for XM so far, but he's going to try and work towards that bottle. Only about, you know, one creep or so away now. And when that bottle comes out, he'll be absolutely fine. So I wonder if he takes cogs here at level 2 on the Clockwork, or if he just goes for this Rocket Flare like he did last game. Because it's really difficult to just run this Mirana down, right? Like, she has leap. You can't exactly trap her in the cogs. Not easy. XM again, trying to push his advantage here in this mid lane. Push the boundaries and the limits, but yeah, he does have this bottle coming out now, so he should be fine. Not too much to worry about here. But decent laning stage so far for LGD. You have to say, like, this Ember's having a decent time mid, but the Spectre bot lane is really struggling. Like, he has 4 CS, 2.5 minutes into the game. And he is not having a nice time at all. But this is a problem. Like, he's laning with a Clockwork, right? Like, what is the Clockwork supposed to do to help him in this laning stage? Armai basically just has to get whatever he can down here. And they might be in a bit of trouble in this Clockwork here. I don't know if they have the Venge stun. That's a nice arrow there from FY, actually, and he gets and then they follow up with the leap and they get the damage. I did not expect FY to go for that at all, actually. Without the setup stun from the Venge, he just relies on his
Radiant's courier has been
own
killed.
skill and manages to pull it off. Oh, mid lane as well. He goes in on the Ember with the waveform, pops the Fairy Fire. He's getting really low, but I don't know if Morph can't close the distance here, unfortunately. He does have another salve as well on the Ember, so he's going to be absolutely fine. Just about. And they're trying to go onto SRF here on the Mars, but yeah, this dry range is like a little bit difficult to deal with now when she gets more point in frost arrows. Like, her chase potential is actually pretty high, but yeah, they don't really have the damage coming through from these two heroes at the moment between the ET and the Drow. Kind of just need to keep this Drow farming for now. You know, buff up the real carry and the Morphling. And it looks like they're going to try and go on Chalice here. They get the lift. Oh no! Oh dear! They missed the slap with the Mars, and unfortunately, there's no point throwing the spear now. They're going to get the stomp here on ET. They feel like they can kill this. The Fade Bot damage is coming through, so they're going to reduce the Drow's damage. But with the Frost Arrow, yeah, it's enough to slow down the Mars, and they actually do get the kill on X-Nova. I didn't think they were going to have the damage there, but manages to pull through. That's a DD room for Somnus. I'm sure XM's loving that. He's probably just going to instantly head to the jungle as soon as he sees. And it looks like he is. But he's still on 9 CS in 4.5 minutes. He has 2 CS a minute, guys. This is not good. It's not looking good for CDEC at all. You know, this Spectre's the one that it's their game-winning hero, right? Like, we talked about how XM, it's down to him to make the tempo in the mid-game, but the Spectre needs the farm as well. They're going to try and go on the Venge here with a level 2 battery shot, but really good arrow by FY. Stops them in their tracks. It's a little bit of a slow start, though, I will say. I mean, definitely LGD favoured, especially with how these side lanes are going. And you do wonder at what point LGD are going to try to, like, look to group up and make something happen. And especially not even them, but, like, oh, hang on, they get the stun into the arrow in bot lane, and there's the Starfall coming through as well onto Armay. Can they finish him off here? Tries to get into the trees, but can't quite make it, unfortunately, for him. And they do get the kill. Armay really struggling down here. Might even look to see him move to the jungle relatively soon, even though it's so slow. I wonder if he's going for that Helm of Dom on the Spectre as well to try and help his farm speed. I assume it's something he's looking at, but not going to be anywhere near at the moment, unfortunately, for him. Nice little stack for XM in the jungle. Throws the Remnant to the other camp to farm as quickly as possible. Maybe this Clockwork can look to rotate up towards this top lane here. Look to play with the Mars potentially on the Rubik to find a kill, because it feels like at the moment he's not really doing anything down here. Like, he's kind of just existing and being a bit of a pest sometimes, but his effectiveness in this lane is so low. Maybe he can look to try and pull to help the Spectre farm at a tower, but it's a difficult one. XM picks up a regen rune down bot, and Rubik does get a ward down there. Right on top of the Radiant ward as well, actually. Yeah, he is going to pull on the clock, try and help his Spectre out a little bit. And we talk about the moves. When does Ember feel like he wants to move as well? Because we talk about having to control tempo. Like, where does he go for his first play? Like, if he ganks the Venge, like, it's okay, but it doesn't really matter too much, to be honest. Can they go on the Spectre here? No. Like, this Venge doesn't really care. Like, she's going to build aura items. Even if you kill her, she has the illusion, the death illusion to work with anyway. It doesn't really matter. And she's actually, yeah, she is going for a Helm of Dom on the Venge as well. Even before boost, she just goes double Wraithband Helm. So really stat heavy for the Venge. Might indicate looking to group up and try and push relatively early on. And Chalice does TP down to this bot lane. There's that arrow following up from the stun, and they do get on top of her. I mean, this Clockwork's here, but like, what does the clock do? The Spectre still just dies. I mean, SRF comes in. Can they get the Drow here? They really goes down with the spear, and they are going to be able to finish her off. Old 11 just stuck in the side here. They do get the stun. Can they finish the clock as well with the minus armor? Yeah, they managed to get the clock. I mean, 2 big kills, but your Drow does die. I think that's probably worth it, though, for the, you know, if you manage to kill the Spectre. 2 for 1 still. I mean, the big sad thing, that doesn't make any sense. The sad thing there for LGD is that if they make that fight clean, they can instantly push the tower with the Drow, Morana, and the Venge afterwards. But it's a little bit more difficult now with Drow not being able to be there. But look at the Spectre's net worth. Really struggling. FY on this Morana are almost at the same level. Does have that Orchid queued up on XM. Something we've been seeing more and more of. Spectre does TP up to this top lane now to try and find some farm, because he knows that Drow doesn't have TP. She TP'd bot before to try and make that gank happen in the bot lane, so he's going to be in the jungle just farming away. Understands that this top lane is relatively safe for now. Which is well played. James getting some of this XP in the mid lane while XM just heads off, trying to make things happen. In the jungle, just farming up. Being very efficient with their XP sharing. With this Helm of Dawn creep here, it's a difficult lane to gank, I think. They do get the slight change, and there's a spear follow up onto the trees as well. And they finish off the FY Morana. Yeah, the arena goes down there. FY is absolutely toast here. Is there any follow-up damage that can come through though? X-Nova's coming with a stomp, but it's just not enough. And Chalice is going to go down again here for a second time. They're going to go onto the Venge as well. Old 11 getting chased down. There's 4 heroes down here for the Radiant side. Oh my god, X-Nova tries to absolutely destroy SRF, but couldn't quite manage it. They managed to get Old 11 here, but the Death Illusion comes through. I don't think they have the chase here for XM. He throws a Remnant down just in case he's in trouble, can go back to. For now, just going through the jungle, kills a courier, and is now just going to jump back to the Remnant. Really well played by XM, and a great move. Oh no, they actually catch him with the sleep. Oh, they get him. Really well played by X-Nova. Throws the spirit, his Astral Spirit, down towards where the Remnant was. Really well played there by LGD, and they managed to get the XM kill. I mean, the fight overall is still really bad for them, but at least they managed to kill the Ember. You know, we've said he needs to be able to control the tempo here, so every time he dies, you know, that tempo does slow down for CDEC. Ten minutes into the game, Bounty Rune's going to spawn. Looks like it's going to be a 2 for 2, and LGD are going to hard commit now for this tower with the Venge and the Morph in the bot lane, but SRF heads top up here. Nice gust from Chalice, but is that enough to keep him alive? So TP coming in from X-Nova on the tower, but they get the spear onto the tree. There's a stomp coming through, but they just have enough damage there on the Spectre to be able to bring down the Drow. They might look to turn to X-Nova here as well, but SRF's getting really low. Tier 1 tower's going to go down in the bot lane, but SRF... yeah, they don't have enough damage to kill the Elder Titan after the first round of spells. It's used from the Mars. And Morphling TP's top here to take over the farm. And this tier 1 taking the bot lane is going to open up the map massively here for LGD. You know, they can start to try and take over this bot jungle. And this Venge with the Catwalk wave is probably going to look to try and get some damage onto this tier 2 down here. They see FY in the Mirana. They get the hook shot. They have cogs. They're trying to chase her down. I don't know if she has any more leaps on the Mirana. It doesn't look like it. And yeah, FY is going to fall here. FY with, XM with the haste rune, looking for more, but this Venge is not easy to kill. If he gets the Helm of Dawn, I mean, that's 200 gold. I mean, that's basically a hero kill.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Great rotation by XM. Manages to boost his net worth up dramatically. We are going to see Chalice in the jungle here. Just trying to farm up those agents with the marksmanship procs. Going to help him. Has the Iron Talon as well to help him to jungle. Always very nice. Bit of a slow couple of minutes or so at the moment. We had the XM action done in the bot lane, but I really like that X-Nova needs to be sitting behind this Morphling here, and they just ignore the Morphling completely. This is really smart. They have to go on the Elder Titan first. Like, they understand he needs to die, otherwise the Morphling's just going to be absolutely fine. And they're going to try and move on to the Morphling here. Doesn't look like this is going to happen. They might look to push on to the top tier 1 here, but I imagine LG would respond in numbers if they do decide to. I mean, they do have this problem on CDEC, though, right? That they can't take towers very well. It's difficult for them, right? Like, they have Spectre Ember cores. These guys aren't tower hitters. And yeah, the flare does spot out the LGD heroes sat in the tree line waiting to make something happen, but they're gonna run away scared for now. Trousers around their ankles. It does just feel like LGD, you know, they still have this advantage with the Morphling. You assume going into the late game this Morphling should be fine. I mean, Spectre, if he gets a huge amount of farm, can be a problem, but
Radiant structures are fortified.
So, this LGD lineup still looking strong for now. Oh, they tried to hookshot mid lane onto the Drow Ranger, but can't quite manage it there. Creep Wave ended up blocking. Unfortunate for Victoria, but good attempt. They're going to try and take this top tier 1 here with the Venge stacking auras here. This is a difficult one to defend. James gets the lift onto the other Titan to stop the stomp, but unfortunately, to dodge that stomp, he has to put himself in a position where he allows himself to get swapped. Pick your poison, really. And CDEC are holding the high ground here, waiting to see if LGD will move some heroes up here so they can take by surprise. I mean, they get the Orchid onto Somnus here, but he's already got the Strength Morph going. That's not going to be a kill for them now, and they get the Arena down onto the Venge. Okay, they'll take what they can get. Arrow comes through onto the Clockwork as well. Do they have the damage to kill the Venge? She actually swaps herself out onto the Mirana. Now the Starfall comes down onto Clock, and they get the return kill. Hawk comes through. They're going to try and go onto the Venge here with the Horn. And they do get the Venge. Okay, that's fine. With XM coming through as well, they get the Orchid onto the Mirana. It's their chains coming through. Really nice stomp from X-Nova here, actually. Somnus might be able to come through for the cleanup with the chains. He has the waveform that can come through as well. Do they have the damage for XM? They're going to be able to kill X-Nova, but XM goes away to his Remnant, and SRF solo running away as well. They actually do get the kill onto XM, though, with FY turning up, and Arme's now in trouble. Somnus chasing him down with the Flame Guard. Yeah, and this is why people love this Morphling so much up against the Ember Spirit. Just having that potential to be able to get the free chains, the free slice, and that's the 2 cores down for CDEC. The 2 worst deaths they could possibly ask for. I mean, SRF gets away on really low HP, but I mean, he would have traded his life to keep one of his cores alive.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Really nice fight for LGD. All of a sudden, a 4K net worth advantage, though. They take the top tier 1, and they're probably looking to start to think, you know, can we look towards this Roche Pit now? You know, we have the minus armor on the Venge, we have the physical damage from the Drow and the Morph. At what point do we feel like we can do this? Because there's no tier 1 towers up anymore, right? Like, these TP spots are really difficult for CDEC to get towards the Roche Pit. So I expect both teams to be trying to, like, hang around here now relatively soon. They are going to get at least 3 bounties on LGD. There's that one on the Radiant side still up, but for now, they're going to smoke up actually here on LGD, and they do see this. I think they saw the Mirana. They're really good positioning by Victoria to break the smoke on the Clockwork.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Allows them under their vision on the high ground there to be able to spot that smoke coming in, and it's a little bit of a wasted time here by LGD. I say that they're going to get. Can they get the swap here into the Centaur Stomp potentially? They get the stomp down from the Elder Titan, and they get the follow-up one from the Venge stun now as well on the Centaur creep. Yeah, the arrow comes through. Victoria's going to pay with his life, but I mean, to be honest, like, that's like the best case scenario because he tanks the gank there for the Spectre as well. you know, that Victoria's rather he'd die than Arme would die. They get the stun from the Venge with the follow-up Centaur Stomp as well. There's an Elder Titan Stomp, so many stomps coming through. And that's a dead Rubik now as well. Like, they're going to try and move for more here. The arena goes down, but I mean, SRF in a really difficult position here is going to go down. And they manage to get Old 11 on the Venge. He's so tanky though with all the stats. XM jumps away to his Remnant, but LGD charging forward here. Looking for more, looking for blood, and this tier 2 does not look long for life.
Are fortified. Dire's structures are fortified.
Ooh. CDEC, how do they get back into this game now, right? Like, they have the arena, like, they have good initiation, but where's the damage coming from at the moment from them? Like, maybe they can kill off one hero, but the problem is they have 2 different, like, effective routes of save, right? On LGD, they have the Stomp coming through from the Elder Titan, they have the Swap on the Venge as well. So if you don't kill these guys first, then the fight's already going to be really difficult for you because they have this save potential. And if you go on the Venge, she has the Death Illusion come through anyway, which is going to be stacking auras. It's so difficult for them to choose their targets here because it feels like they don't have damage for more than one. They get the cogs onto FY, pushing him away after the hook shot, but double leap. And he's going to be absolutely fine. Old 11 was always there with the save as well if needed with the swap. And they're going to try and go on next over here in the top lane, but he just TPs away from the Spectre. Spectre's worst nightmare. The TP scroll, guys. XM just trying to push out the mid lane here, but Old 11 is doing so much work on this Venge. I mean, he is doing huge amounts. I think this is almost the hood he's got now as well. I assume building into the pipe as well. So like, we talked last game about how he went Crimson Guard on Batrider and this whole damage mitigation idea. And again, we've talked about how they don't really have damage at this point in the game on CDEC. Like, when this pipe comes out, where's the physical damage? Like, Ember's Sleight of Fist, yeah, Arme can hit people a little bit, but it feels like if Arme ever commits to a fight at the moment, it's so difficult for him. And they're going to get the sleep with the stomp onto the Spectre top. They have the splitter coming through as well, but do they have the damage? I mean, he's pretty tanky on the Spectre with the wand being popped as well. And without either of the cores being there, it doesn't look like they have enough damage. And they get the chains onto the other Titan now as well. Oh, but the gust onto the Ember, he might be in trouble here with the swap as well. Some follow-up from the Venge, and that's going to be a dead XM. They have to get out now on CDEC if they can, but unfortunately, James is moving at the speed of a snail as he's trying to run away. And they get the Yules onto the clock as well with the follow-up arrow. And Victoria might be in trouble here as well. They get the stomp, but he just misses, unfortunately. Somnus is here to try and rescue the day. Comes in with the waveform, and the adaptive strike does so much damage from Morphling on the Somnus. Just finishes him off. He hasn't even got the E-Blade or anything. It's just the high raw stats that he's gone for. The Wraithbound, the drums, the Manta. This guy is in fighting condition, and now they do head into the Roche Pit like we talked about. And unfortunately, when you're playing against Elder Titan around the Roche Pit, there is only going to be one winner here. Maybe if Victoria can come over with a hook shot, but you know, he's dead. Like, where's their steal potential coming from? And that is going to be the Aegis for Somnus. Hasn't died all game, 4-0-3 on the Morphling, and now he has an Aegis to allow him to play even more aggressive. You'd hate to be in CDEC's position right now. They get the slight chains onto the Venge, but again, like, this Venge doesn't care. She has the Death Illusion. Like, okay, they get the arena down, but the nice heals from FY. They're going to try and follow up the arrow, but good haunt by Arme blocks the arrow coming through. And they're going to be able to get the Elder Titan first, actually. X-Nova goes down. Old 11 stuck in the cogs as well. Might be in trouble here. Yeah, the Slight comes through from XM. They're trying to get onto Arme, though. Somnus coming through with the Slight, with the chains, and they do get him really nice. Well played by Somnus. He waveforms through as well. Tries to get on top of SRF. Good spear from him, though. Throws Somnus away. Good fight for CDEC overall, though, but the problem is they lose their carry, right? Like, they kill off the Elder Titan and the Venge, and they force the Titan buyback, but if you're trading Arme's life for it, then is it really worth it? Stomp comes through, and with the follow-up arrow, James is absolutely toast here. They get the Yules onto the Ember as well. Good follow-up gust by Chalice, and XM's going to die again. Oh dear. CDEC really not enjoying themselves here. I mean, it's night and day from last game, isn't it? LGD saying, you know, we made mistakes early on in the first game, but this second game, we are playing from ahead, and we're going to make sure we stay ahead. Just have the E-Blade queued up now on the Morphling. But at this point, there's quite a few items he could build, and it still feels like they'd be in a dominating position. Like, look at the net worth chart. FY on this Mirana has more net worth than Arme on the Spectre. Jeez. Poor Arme. And this is the problem. When you pick this position 5 clockwork, we've been seeing it more and more, it's not the lane support. Like, you need to pick it with these heroes that are strong enough in the lane themselves that don't need too much help. Morphling Avengers pairing up together down here with the Siege Wave, making sure they can finish this tier 2. They've taken over both the outposts now as well, so full map control going towards LGD. Moonlight Shadow comes out, but not sure how much they can do with this. Looks like they're heading up towards top lane to try and gank XM on this Ember, but yeah, he just jumps away back to his Revenant. Absolutely fine. Incoming. And this clock is the one with the urn, but like, you need a Vessel for this Morphling, right? But if the clock's the one with the urn as this +5, is the Vessel ever going to come out this game? Like, he just doesn't have the net worth to work with. Yeah, he could have potentially gone for it on the Ember Spirit as well, but then where does their damage come from? They have so many balancing issues here on CDEC. They're just grouping up here again on LGD. They understand how much stronger they are right now. They're just pushing forward, taking away as much of the map as they possibly can from CDEC. And like this CDEC lineup, it looks really good if they can play from in front, right? Like, they have so many different options where if somebody finds someone they can haunt in, as we've seen AMD do in the past. Like, look for these just solo pickoffs. But unfortunately, when LGD group up like this, they can't find the pickoffs that they need with like the Clockwork, the Mars, the slight chains from the Ember.
Radiant are scanning.
It's a really difficult position.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
LGD just holding this high ground here as well, just pushing all the lanes in. Chalice TP's back towards the bot side of the map to push the lane in now. Yeah, and like they have this one, well, they have 2 observers on the map actually, but they don't spot anybody at the moment. The problem is, it's not the vision though. Like, even if they had vision of heroes they could go and gank, how do they get there? Like, LGD is just such in a position now where they can do whatever they want, it feels like, around the map, and they're going to start choking CDEC out. They're going to try and build up their net worth advantage here, further and further, until they get to a point here where probably, you know, you're looking towards the second Aegis already with how long's left. They get the trains onto the Ember, but yeah, there's just no follow-up, unfortunately, so XM able to just jump away. Did Orchid the Morphling as well, just to make sure he could secure his escape. Nice slight change for Somnus again, and with the E-Blade. I mean, James just... It's such a sad life for him. Like, what do you do? What's your play there? Like, there's nothing he can do. He just has to accept his death. Somnus able to just basically walk across the map by himself wherever he likes now and just find solo kills. And when the Morphling's able to get into a position like that, there's only going to be one winner. FY's able to just leap into the high ground there like an absolute monster. Does not give a care in the world. They even drop a sentry just because they assume he's warded. And here comes the death ball, guys. The aura stacking with the drow as well. And these racks are just absolutely gone for. I mean, Arme's farming the jungle. They get the arena down here with the spear, and they're trying to pop the horn to get into Xnova in the backline first, but he's so tanky, it takes ages to kill him off. And these 2 heroes are trapped trying to go on him. Victoria just dies straight away. And Arme just gets instantly thrown into the fight with the swap and blown up by the E-Blade shotgun. Does buy back on Arme and Victoria on the clock, but I mean, what do? They have no haunt now, there's no hook shot, there's no arena. Like, how do they get on top of this Morphling here? There is no Xnova out of time, but I don't think they care. I think they just keep going here on LGD. They might be a little bit scared without the Aegis, but they are in such a dominating position. Old 11 just walks up to the high ground. They're just going to start hitting the racks again. Yeah, the swap is available. They get it onto the Rubik, and James is just toast again here. Somnus is in a little bit of trouble here. He actually goes down. That's the Beyond Godlike streak going towards XM, and they're going to look to push for more here while they know the Morphling's dead. SRF trying to escape here with the Bulwark. So tanky when he activates that. Old 11 trying to run away here as well, and he's so slow. This damage coming through from the Spectre with the Desolate, really strong. And Chalice actually gets caught with the dagger in the backline, so SRF blinks in, misses the spear though. Orchid comes out, and XM's actually going to die to Chalice here. The mech comes through in the Essence Ring as well on the Drow Ranger. SRF trying to run away on the sideline again. Chalice just TP's out though. The stop's going to come through. It doesn't miss SRF though. Xnova, a little bit of a misplay. Arrow comes through. Can they find SRF? No, he is going to get the TP away. FY trying to come in with the Ors to cancel the TB, but not quite there in time. I mean, good fight for CDEC overall. I mean, well, not in terms of net worth, but like they managed to hold their high ground, which is better than I thought they'd do. think Somnus got caught with the Orchid there when he didn't have Manta up, unfortunately, and they just had the damage to be able to follow up, bring him down. And Arme all of a sudden has the same amount of net worth as XM. And so, you know, trying to farm his way towards something, but you know, he's still 6,000 gold behind the Morphling. Not a good position to be in for Arme on the Spectre. Looks like Vengiat building another aura here in the Vlads, giving the whole team the new damage aura from the new recent patch. Which I personally felt like Vlad's was going to be purchased more than it has been at the moment. Like, it doesn't give any stats anymore, so it's a little bit awkward to build on a lot of offlaners and things, and especially on supports. Like, I think that's where I expected it to be built more, but they don't tend to not get the farm priority, unfortunately, to be able to pick that one up early enough. And they are going to smoke up here on LGD. Look for something here. I mean, they're going to run into XM James and Victoria, and they get the gust onto James. James is just dead again, like 100% just straight away. Victoria's going to try and hookshot in here just to try and delay the fight, but Arme actually haunts into the Earth Splitter here, and they're going to try and chase him down. eBay just absolutely blows Arme up, and with no buyback on the Spectre here, CDEC are just going to call this one. I mean, without the Spectre, they had, you know, they had one more chance there potentially, and I think if the fight goes badly, the game's over. And they realise, I mean, fantastic game by LGD, you have to say. I mean, these guys, especially after like such a rough ending to game one, you know, they were in a position to where they felt like they could push on, and they definitely show that here. And all of a sudden, you know, we've talked about the importance of this series already. Now, whoever loses this is now 0